programme is all about people who feel that however hard they try, they just can't get their voices heard. Then our first film has to take the biscuit.
When the people we're about to meet spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on flats in a newly built block, the very last thing they expected was that just 4 years on, their homes would be worthless and they'd be left fighting for their own futures.
The wall is so far out of line that they can't fit the fire door correctly.
You could see that there's been a leak from the terrace upstairs. Our light fittings have been taped to prevent the rot and mold.
This wall bows in and it moves under even a light amount of pressure. We've been told in various reports that if there's a strong enough wind, it could bring the entire facade down.
Now, believe it or not, 53 Agar Grove in Camden, North London, was only built in 2019.
Really badly built. From the foundation to the roof, everything is faulty.
Neighbours Daniel Bruce and Alex Druzanin each shelled out more than £800,000 on flats here, but since moving in, have discovered problem after problem.
As I was moving in, Alex came out and explained that she'd had some fairly catastrophic problems with her apartment. And as I walked into my apartment, it was clear I was suffering from the same catastrophic problems. Some of the issues were a leaking terrace, a leaking main building roof, distorted floors, distorted doorways. The stairs were leaning and started to sink at the top of the landing.
Now, before they could get the problems fixed, residents had to wade through a really baffling array of companies, all with some sort of involvement. First, there was the developer. Prime Metro is subcontracted the construction of the building to a firm called Site Construction. Then there was Salis, the firm which inspected and signed off that construction back in 2019. And finally, the company that provides the building's warranty on which residents should be able to claim for repairs, Acasta. But the residents say none of those firms seem to want to take responsibility.
We've had the builder, the warranty provider, the developer, everybody passing the buck.
And whilst all this is going on, we are the ones who continue living in fear, in danger every day, don't we?
Desperate to know just how bad things were, the residents demanded that the developer commission a detailed structural survey. And in March 2022, it delivered the most damning of verdicts. The building was not fit for purpose. Surveyors said that remedial work may not be enough and even suggested total demolition.
It's unbelievable that you can buy a new build home and find out that it's not fit for purpose.
Fear for our future and yet unable to do anything about it.
Whether the solution turns out to be a repair or a complete rebuild, residents believe it should be covered by the block's new build warranty, taken out by the developer before the flats were sold. But the residents feel they're getting nowhere with the warranty provider.
The report that we have that says it's not fit for purpose raises 14 serious underlying issues, and yet here we are, all that time that's passed, all that money that we've spent in legal fees, and the warranty provider still hasn't given us a how, a why, or how they're going to fix this. It's absolutely shocking.
It is unbelievable.
The faults are so extensive that apartments which were worth upwards of £800,000 each are now effectively worthless.
This has really negatively affected the trajectory of my life. It's changed who I am as a person to somebody who just spends every single day of their life fighting.
The residents' dogged determination is finally getting noticed. After multiple letters to the government trying to raise the profile of their case, Michael Gove, the Secretary of State for Levelling Up, Housing and Communities, is visiting.
Hello, Gove.
Oh, hi, Michael. How are you? How are you doing?
Nice to see you.
You
Hi,
too,
hi.
you too. Connie.
Hi.
This is Alex, my next-door neighbour.
Well, it's absolutely appalling. I mean, nobody should have to live in circumstances like this, to have shelled out hundreds of thousands of pounds on the basis that you were getting the home or flat of your dreams, and then to find that you have, you know, a fundamentally unsafe building. That's just unacceptable.
The whole thing.
No, it's like a sort of set from Crossroads.
It's exactly like a set from Crossroads.
This is terrible.
Yeah.
In June 2023, Camden Council offered to formally inspect the building and potentially serve the developer with an improvement notice. But in a cruel twist, the residents had to refuse the offer because the terms of their lease say that the developer could pass the bill for that work back to them. Mr. Gove says his team is putting pressure on the relevant companies to accept responsibility, as well as looking for other avenues of support. But it's a symptom of a nationwide issue.
We just need to look at the whole process of building and selling properties in an interconnected way to make sure that we have stronger consumer protection for people. Because at the moment we have a situation where you get more consumer protection when you buy a washing machine than when you buy your own home.
For Alex, Dan and their neighbours, the attention is welcome. But whether it will help to finally put an end to their problems remains to be seen.
It's quite an exceptional experience to have a Secretary of State come to your apartment, and I think it shows us and everybody else just how bad this situation is. He wants to look for a solution and apply more pressure, but we just want to see some substantive change in our lives.
When we spoke to the companies involved, in the case of Agar Grove, the developer Prime Metro told us that the flats were sold in good faith, with the correct insurance and building regulations approval all in place, and added that it's doing everything it can to remediate at no cost to the leaseholders. Prime Metro pointed out that it holds the freehold and leasehold for 3 of the apartments, so rather than being an external party passing the buck, it's very much side by side with the leaseholders fighting the same battle. We also contacted Site Construction, who built the properties, to send us a statement, but despite numerous requests, we didn't receive one. Meanwhile, the building inspection company, Salas, said it has repeatedly requested a copy of the professional reports concerning the current condition of the building so that it can attempt to help the flat owners towards a resolution, but is yet to receive them. Salas also said that it stands by the professionalism of its work, that the building met all appropriate regulations at the time of construction, and that it is fully confident that there were no evident defects that could reasonably have been picked up during its inspections. However, Salas went on to say that this does not preclude future build problems from occurring, which new build housing warranties should cover. Joining us now to discuss all of this is Paula Higgins from the Homeowners Alliance. So, Paula, first of all, thank you very much for being with us. This is a bit of a mess. The building in the film had a structural survey done in March 22, which said there are no viable structural remedial works that would restore the stability and integrity of the building. Consideration should be given to demolition and rebuilding. This building is relatively new, so that horrifies me as to why that's allowed to happen.
It horrifies me as well. Unfortunately, in this situation, it sounds like everyone is just passing the buck. And, you know, these people have put so much money to legal costs, and there isn't a mechanism. Like if you're buying a dodgy car, you can return it. You cannot return a house, which in this case, of course, people would want to do.
Michael Gove said that you have more consumer rights when buying a washing machine than buying a home. So what are the rights then that these homeowners should have?
They should have the right to inspect the home before they purchase it. They should have the right to refuse to buy the home if it's not fit for purpose. And there should be a really strong regulator for when things go wrong. There are some changes happening through the Building Safety Act.
Like
so
what?
We'll have a stronger regulation for high-rise buildings and the safety and an ongoing safety regime. In situations like this, they are also doing better regulation for the approved inspectors or the building control people. So something like this couldn't happen again.
Well, Paula, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
The provider of that new build warranty, Acasta, denied it had passed the buck and told us that while confidentiality and other legal reasons prevented it from discussing some matters, it remains committed to fulfilling its obligations under the relevant insurance policies and to resolving this matter. Acasta said it agrees that certain defects at Agar Grove do fall within the scope of the structural defects insurance, pointing out that it is actively involved in discussing the flat owner's concerns and that it's updating them regularly. But Acasta stressed that insurance claims like this require detailed consideration and investigation, adding that the structural report referred to by the residents was not the only relevant evidence under consideration, and that there are certain defects which would not ordinarily be covered by this type of policy. Nevertheless, Acasta said that it is now taking proactive steps in relation to costings and is fully cooperating with the FCA and various other third parties.